If you are currently looking at your bank account and feeling a pit in your stomach, listen to me very closely. Being broke is not a permanent condition. It is a temporary state of mind caused by breaking the fundamental laws of money. Most people think wealth is about luck, or connections, or cheating the system. They are wrong. Wealth is a result of cause and effect. I spent my early 20s confused, frustrated, and angry. I was working hard, sweating, grinding, but I had absolutely nothing to show for it. I was digging a hole instead of building a mountain. That all changed when I discovered the teachings of Brian Tracy. He didn't just give me advice, he handed me the combination lock to the vault. Today, I am going to share with you the 7 specific rules that I applied religiously. These rules took me from being deeply in debt, living in a small rented room, to becoming a self-made millionaire before my 30th birthday. This is not theory. This is the exact blueprint. Put your phone away, close the other tabs, and focus. This video could be the turning point you have been praying for. Rule number 1, the law of cause and effect. This is the iron law of the universe. Brian Tracy teaches that for every effect in your life, there is a specific cause. Success is not an accident. Failure is not an accident. When I was broke, I thought successful people were just lucky. I thought the universe had picked favorites and I wasn't one of them. That mindset kept me poor. Brian Tracy slapped me awake with this truth: if you do what other successful people do, over and over again, nothing can stop you from getting the same results. And if you don't, nothing can help you. It is like a recipe. If you have a recipe for a perfect chocolate cake, and you follow it exactly, same ingredients, same temperature, same timing, you will get the cake. It doesn't matter if you are tall, short, black, white, male, or female. The recipe doesn't care. Nature is neutral. So, I stopped trying to reinvent the wheel. I stopped trying to find shortcuts. I looked at the people who had the money I wanted, and I simply copied their daily habits. If they read sales books, I read sales books. If they woke up at 5 a.m., I woke up at 5 a.m. Stop guessing. Find a blueprint and execute it without deviation. Rule number 2, the 3% formula. This rule is painful for many people because it requires sacrifice. Brian teaches that to guarantee your future, you must invest 3% of your income back into yourself. Most people spend their money on things that depreciate: clothes, cars, dinners, gadgets. They feed their ego, but they starve their mind. When I was making barely enough to survive, taking 3% of my money felt impossible. I needed that money for food. But I did it anyway. I took $50 here, $100 there, and I bought courses. I bought books. I bought audio programs. My friends were out at the bar on Friday nights, spending $50 on drinks that they would pee out an hour later. I was at home, spending $50 on a negotiation seminar. 2 months later, that seminar helped me close a deal that paid for my entire year's rent. The return on investment on yourself is infinite. You are the asset. If you are not upgrading your own software, you are becoming obsolete. Ask yourself right now, how much money have you spent on your own education in the last 90 days? If the answer is 0, that is why you are stuck. Rule number 3, eat that frog. This is perhaps the most famous productivity rule in the world, but most people still get it wrong. The rule is simple: if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long. Your frog is your biggest, most important task, the one you are most likely to procrastinate on if you don't do something about it. I used to be a professional procrastinator. I would wake up and check emails. Then I would organize my desk. Then I would get a second cup of coffee. By the time I actually started working, it was 11 a.m. and my brain was already tired. I was busy, but I wasn't productive. Brian Tracy taught me to attack the biggest revenue-generating task immediately. Before checking the phone. Before talking to anyone. Once I started tackling my hardest task at 8 a.m., my income didn't just grow, it doubled in 3 months. Why? Because I was spending my best energy on my biggest opportunities. What is the ugly frog staring at you right now? Eat it. Rule number 4, clear written goals. You have heard this before, but are you doing it? Brian Tracy is famous for saying, "A goal that is not in writing is merely a wish." I used to carry goals in my head. I would say, "I want to be rich," or "I want a nice car." That is garbage. That is not a goal, that is a fantasy. A goal must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And it must be written down. The mechanics of writing something down creates a neural pathway in your brain. It programs your reticular activating system to start seeing opportunities. The moment I took a piece of paper and wrote, "I will earn $10,000 a month by December 31st, the world changed. Suddenly, I started seeing ways to make money that were right in front of me the whole time. If you can't show me your written goals right now, you don't have any. You are just drifting. And ships that drift usually crash. Rule number 5, the 40+ formula. This is the rule that separates the workers from the winners. Brian says that in every job, you work 40 hours a week for survival. Everything over 40 hours is for success. If you work 40 hours, you will survive. You will pay the bills. You will have a mediocre life. But you will never get ahead. Every hour you put in over 40 is an investment in your future. I remember looking at my coworkers. They watched the clock. At 4:59 p.m., they were packing their bags. At 5 p.m., they were out the door. They were quiet quitting before that was even a term. I decided to stay 1 hour later. Just 1 hour. In that quiet hour, when the office was empty, I learned the skills my boss didn't even know I needed. I prepared for the next day. I organized my life. That extra 5 to 10 hours a week adds up to 500 hours a year. That is 12 full work weeks of extra productivity. Who do you think got the promotion? Who do you think got the raise? The 40+ formula is the cheat code to overtaking your competition. Rule number 6, continuous action. Brian Tracy says, the key to success is action. It sounds simple, but it is the hardest thing to do. We live in a world of analysis paralysis. People research, they plan, they strategize, they dream. But they never pull the trigger. They are terrified of making a mistake. I realized that a mediocre plan executed violently today is better than a perfect plan executed next week. I decided to adopt a bias for action. If I had an idea for a business, I launched it. If I had an idea for a sales call, I dialed the number. Did I fail? Absolutely. I failed constantly. But I learned faster than anyone else. You cannot steer a parked car. You have to get moving. Fear disappears when you are in motion. Action creates courage. Inaction creates terror. Stop thinking and start doing. Rule number 7, persistence is self-discipline in action. This is the glue that holds it all together. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. There will be days when you want to quit. I had days where I had $12 in my bank account, a stack of overdue bills, and rejection letters piling up. I felt physically sick with stress. But Brian Tracy taught me that persistence is the true measure of your belief in yourself. It is the test. Life will test you to see how badly you want it. If you stop, you guarantee failure. It becomes 100% certain. But if you keep going, success is just a matter of probabilities. It's a numbers game. You just have to stay at the table long enough to win. Let's recap these 7 rules because repetition is the mother of learning. 1. Cause and effect. Success is a recipe, not magic. Follow the recipe. 2. Invest 3% in yourself, you are the asset. Feed your mind. 3. Eat that frog, do the hard stuff first thing in the morning. 4. Write your goals down, wishes don't come true, plans do. 5. Work more than 40 hours, the extra mile is where the wealth is found. 6. Continuous action, stop thinking, start doing. Move fast. 7. Persistence, never, ever give up, no matter how hard it gets. Listen to me. Knowing these rules won't make you rich. Living them will. Most people will watch this video, get a momentary hit of motivation, and then go back to their old habits. they will go back to scrolling, complaining, and drifting. Do not be like them. I didn't become a millionaire because I am smarter than you. I became one because I refused to compromise on these 7 principles. The gap between where you are right now and where you want to be is filled with the actions you are afraid to take. If this video sparked something in you, if you are ready to stop drifting and start dominating, smash that like button right now. It tells YouTube you are serious about success. I want you to make a commitment. Comment the word millionaire below. By typing it, you are making a public declaration to yourself. I'll send you a free PDF checklist of these 7 rules so you can stick it on your wall and look at it every single day. Subscribe and turn on that notification bell because tomorrow, I'm dropping more fire that your future self will thank you for. We are just getting started.
3, 2, 1.
What if I told you that the first 60 minutes of your day determine the size of your bank account? What if I told you that the reason you feel tired, overwhelmed, and broke is not because of the economy, but because you are losing the battle for your mind before you even put on your pants? Most people wake up and immediately surrender. They grab their phone, they check emails, they scroll social media, they read the news. They let the world dictate their emotions. They let other people's agendas hijack their brain. Boom. You just gave your brain to the world. You are reactive, not proactive. You are playing defense, not offense. Brian Tracy has a specific 21-day discipline challenge that rewires your brain for massive success. It is not easy. In fact, it will be very uncomfortable at first. Your brain will fight you. But it changed my life, and today, I'm challenging you to do it. Step 1, the golden hour. Brian Tracy calls the first hour of the day the golden hour. He says, the first hour is the rudder of the day. Think about a ship crossing the ocean. If you turn the rudder just 1 degree in the beginning, over a long journey, you end up on a completely different continent. The morning is your rudder. If you start your day with chaos, you will end in chaos. If you start with focus, you will end with results. For the next 21 days, here is the absolute rule. You do not touch your phone for the first 60 minutes. No news. No Instagram. No texts. No emails. No negative inputs. Instead, you invest in your mind. You read something educational, inspirational, or motivational. You marinate your mind in success. You read biography, philosophy, or personal development. When I started this, I felt genuine withdrawal symptoms. I was addicted to the dopamine of the screen. My hand would reach for the phone automatically like a smoker reaching for a cigarette. I had to physically leave my phone in another room to stop myself. But after 3 days, something magical happened. My anxiety vanished. My clarity skyrocketed. I felt calm. I felt focused. I felt dangerous. By protecting that first hour, you build a fortress around your mind that negativity cannot penetrate. You become bulletproof. Step 2, rewrite your goals daily. This is the secret weapon of the top 1% of high achievers. Get a simple spiral notebook. It costs less than $1. Every single morning, before you start work, write down your top 10 goals. But here is the trick, you must write them in the present tense, as if they are already achieved. Don't write, I want to earn more money. That pushes it to the future, and the future never arrives. Write, I earn $50,000 a month. I drive a silver Porsche 911. I weigh 180 pounds with 10% body fat. I am the top salesperson in my company. And here is the most important part, do not look at yesterday's page. You must rewrite them fresh from memory every single day. Brian Tracy explains that this action programs your subconscious mind deeper and deeper. It forces your reticular activating system, the filter in your brain, to start scanning the world for opportunities. I have been doing this for years. It is honestly spooky how fast these things manifest when you write them down every morning. You start meeting the right people. You start seeing the right deals. You start having ideas in the shower that make you money. It feels like magic, but it is just extreme focus. Step 3, plan your day in advance. Ideally, do this the night before, but strictly review it in the morning. Brian says, every minute spent in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. Most people run around like headless chickens, putting out fires, reacting to whoever screams the loudest. They are busy, but they are not effective. That is a recipe for poverty and burnout. Make a list of everything you have to do. Then, prioritize it ruthlessly. Apply the 80-20 rule. Which 20% of tasks will give you 80% of your results? There is usually only one or two things on that list that actually move the needle. Circle them. That is your mission. If you start your day without a plan, you are just a leaf blowing in the wind. You go where the wind blows. You need to be the sniper. Intentional. Precise. Deadly. You need to know exactly what you are shooting at before you pull the trigger. Step 4. Exercise your willpower. Brian suggests doing something physical immediately. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be an hour of lifting heavy weights. Just get the blood flowing. He says, motion creates emotion. When you wake up, your body is filled with sleep inertia. Your cortisol might be high. You feel groggy. When you move your body, push-ups, jumping jacks, a brisk walk, yoga, you pump oxygen to your brain. You burn off the stress hormones. You release endorphins and dopamine. For this challenge, commit to just 20 minutes of movement every morning. It tells your body that you are in charge, not your laziness. It builds the discipline muscle. If you can discipline your body to move when it wants to rest, you can discipline your wallet to save when it wants to spend. Step 5. The mental rehearsal. Before you start working, close your eyes for just 2 minutes. Visualize your day going perfectly. See yourself crushing that meeting. See yourself closing that sale. See yourself finishing that project with a smile on your face. Feel the satisfaction. Feel the handshake. Hear the praise. Brian Tracy teaches that your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a vivid visualization and an actual physical experience. By rehearsing success, you eliminate anxiety. You walk into the room already having won. You have already lived it in your mind, so the reality is just a formality. Top athletes do this before a race. They run the race in their head 1,000 times. Why aren't you doing it before your workday? Why are you leaving your performance to chance? Step 6. Start with the biggest task. We are back to the frog concept. Do not check email first. Do not organize your desk. Do not talk to your coworkers about the game last night. Do not get coffee. Start working on your number 1 goal immediately. The hardest part of any task is just getting started, Brian says. The resistance is highest at the beginning. Once you break that seal, momentum takes over. It's Newton's law of motion. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Imagine finishing your most important work by 10 a.m. How would the rest of your day feel? You would feel unstoppable. You would feel light. You would be walking on clouds. Most people spend all day worrying about the work instead of just doing the work. They carry the burden of the unfinished task like a heavy backpack. Put the backpack down. Do the work. Recap. Let's recap your 21-day challenge. Write this down or take a screenshot. 1. The golden hour, no phone for 60 minutes. Read educational material only. Protect your mind. 2. Rewrite your 10 goals, every morning, in the present tense, from memory. Program your GPS. 3. Plan your day, prioritize the vital few tasks that make money. Ignore the noise. 4. Move your body, 20 minutes of exercise to spark your brain. 5. Visualize, see the win before it happens. 6. Eat the frog, do the big thing first. Now, I have a serious question for you. Can you do this for 21 days? Just 21 days. 3 weeks. Most people won't. They will watch this video, nod their heads, get excited, and then go back to checking TikTok in bed tomorrow morning. They are addicted to mediocrity. They love their comfort zone more than they love success. But you aren't most people, are you? You are here because you want more. You are here because you are hungry. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Choose your pain. You can suffer the pain of discipline for 21 days, or you can suffer the pain of regret for the rest of your life. If this challenge scares you, good. That means you need it. That means it will change you. If you are ready to accept this challenge, smash that like button right now. Comment the word discipline below and I'll send you the PDF tracker for this 21-day challenge so you can cross off every single day and see your streak building. Subscribe and turn on the bell because tomorrow we are talking about the one specific habit that made Brian Tracy rich before 40.
Three, two, one.
You want the secret. The real secret. People are always looking for the magic pill, the hidden crypto coin, or the fast track. They want the shortcut. But the secret isn't about working harder. It's not even about being naturally smarter or talented. It's about doing one specific thing that 99% of people are simply too lazy to do. I spent years grinding, burning out, and staying broke. I thought hard work was the answer. I was working 12 hours a day, taking every shift, saying yes to everything, and getting nowhere. I was running in quicksand. I was exhausted, and my bank account was empty. Then I heard Brian Tracy talk about the law of integrative complexity. Sounds fancy, right? It sounds academic. But it's actually simple, and it's the single habit that took him from a struggling salesman washing dishes to a wealthy man before he turned 40. Today, I'm breaking down this habit so you can steal it. I am going to show you exactly how to apply it, the math behind why it works, and why ignoring this is the reason you are still stuck in the same place you were last year. Brian Tracy didn't start rich. He didn't have a trust fund. He started as a day laborer. He worked in the fields. He worked on construction sites. He washed dishes in the back of a hotel kitchen. He was doing hard work. Physically, he was working harder than the CEO of the company. But he was broke. He realized early on a fundamental truth: to earn more, you must learn more. He noticed something interesting when he finally got into sales. He noticed that the top salespeople in his company, the ones driving the new cars and wearing the nice suits, weren't working 10 times harder than the poor ones. They didn't have 10 times the number of hours in the day. They didn't have 10 times the customers. They didn't have 10 times the territory. They just knew things the others didn't. They knew how to handle objections smoothly. They knew the psychology of persuasion. They knew how to close without being pushy. They had better software installed in their brains. Brian realized that if he wanted to change his income, he didn't need to change his job, he needed to change his mind. He needed to upgrade his mental operating system. Most people stop learning the day they leave school. They throw their graduation cap in the air and say, "I'm done. No more books. No more studying." They think they are finished. And that is the exact moment they begin to die financially. In the 21st century, if you are not learning, you are dying. Knowledge is the new currency. If you aren't upgrading your software, you are running on Windows 95 in an AI world. You are trying to load modern apps on an old operating system, and you are crashing. So, how do you do this practically? Brian Tracy developed a concept called University on Wheels. Think about the math here. It is frightening. According to the American Automobile Association, the average person spends between 500 to 1,000 hours a year in their car. They are commuting to work, driving to the store, driving the kids to school. Let's do the math. 500 to 1,000 hours. That is 12 to 24 full, 40-hour work weeks sitting behind a steering wheel. That is 3 to 6 months of work time wasted. More importantly, that is equivalent to 1 to 2 full-time university semesters. Now, ask yourself, what is the average person doing during that time? They are listening to the radio. They are listening to the news, which makes them angry, anxious, and fearful. Or they are listening to the same top 40 songs over and over again. Despacito is not going to make you rich. The news is not going to make you rich. They are wasting years of their lives staring at brake lights, letting garbage fill their minds. Brian Tracy turned his car into a classroom. He turned his commute into his competitive advantage. He said, "Turn your car into a learning machine. If you just listen to audiobooks on sales, management, negotiation, or personal finance during your commute, you would have the equivalent of a PhD in your field within 3 to 5 years. Without stepping foot on a campus. Without paying a dime in tuition. Are you listening to the radio, letting garbage fill your mind? Or are you learning how to get rich? The second part of this habit is reading. Brian says if you read just 1 hour per day in your chosen field, that translates to about 1 book per week. 1 book per week is 50 books a year. If you read 50 books a year in your field, you will be a national expert in 5 years. You will be in the top 1% of income earners in your country. Why? Because the average person reads less than 1 non-fiction book a year. The average CEO reads 60 books a year. Do you see the correlation? By reading 1 hour a day, you are gaining a massive, unfair advantage. You are lapping everyone else on the track. I started doing this. I started reading books on marketing every morning. At first, it was boring. My brain fought me. It wanted to scroll Instagram. It wanted the dopamine hit of a funny video. Reading felt like a chore. It felt like work. But I forced myself. I treated it like medicine. I have to take this to get better. Then, something amazing happened. After about 3 books, I started connecting dots my competitors couldn't see. I started understanding why things worked. I wasn't just working blindly, I was strategizing. I was playing chess while they were playing checkers. Imagine you are a salesperson. Your competitor watches Netflix all night. You read a book on advanced negotiation tactics. The next day, you both walk into a client meeting. Who is going to win? It's not a fair fight. You have a weapon he doesn't even know exists. Knowledge is power, but only if you acquire it. Here is where it gets crazy. This is what Brian calls integrative complexity. Knowledge compounds just like compound interest in a bank account. When you learn one new idea, it stands alone. But when you learn a second idea, it connects to the first one. Now you have a synthesis. A sales technique you learn today combines with a negotiation tactic you learn tomorrow, which combines with a productivity hack you learn next week. Suddenly, you have a breakthrough. You have an epiphany. I'll give you a real example from my life. I bought a book on pricing psychology. It cost me $20. It took me 3 hours to read. I learned one technique about how to frame a price, just one sentence called the decoy effect. I used that sentence in my next negotiation for a consulting contract. It increased my fee by $20,000. I turned $20 and 3 hours of reading into $20,000. That is a 100,000% return on investment. Where else can you get those returns? Real estate? Stocks? Crypto? No. Only in your own mind. Your mind is the only asset that can produce infinite returns. Brian Tracy spent thousands of dollars on seminars when he was broke. He would save up every penny, eat ramen noodles, sleep in his car, just to sit in the front row of a sales conference. People told him he was crazy. You can't afford that. They said. You're broke. Save your money. He said, I can't afford not to go. He understood a fundamental truth: you can learn from your own mistakes, which is painful, expensive, and slow. Or you can learn from other people's mistakes, which is cheap and fast. When you buy a course or attend a seminar, you are buying speed. You are buying decades of someone else's pain, suffering, trial, and error, compressed into days. You are buying a time machine. Don't be cheap with your future. Don't step over dollars to pick up pennies. If you can pay $500 to learn a skill that will make you $50,000 over your lifetime, that is not an expense. That is the best investment you will ever make. Cheat code your way to the top. But here is the catch. And this is the part where most smart people fail. It's not just about reading. It's not about being a knowledge hoarder. It's about doing. The habit isn't just learning, it's learning and applying immediately. Brian noticed that successful people learn something new and try it that same day. They have a bias for action. Unsuccessful people write it down and say, that's a good idea, I'll try that someday. Someday is a code word for never. Someday is a fantasy land where dreams go to die. When you learn a new closing technique, use it on your next call. It might be messy. You might screw it up. You might stutter. But you will learn. You get feedback. The faster you fail, the faster you succeed. You cannot learn to ride a bike by reading a book about physics. You have to get on the bike and fall off. So, here is the recap. The one habit that made Brian Tracy rich is aggressive, continuous learning. 1. Turn your car into a university. Audiobooks are your best friend. Stop listening to the radio. 2. Read 60 minutes a day in your field. Become the expert. 3. Apply what you learn immediately. Don't wait. Action creates results. 4. Invest in seminars and coaching. Buy speed. Buy experience. If you commit to this habit, you will leave your competition in the dust. They won't even understand how you are doing it. They will call you lucky. They will say you are gifted. But you will know the truth. You just did the homework they refuse to do. You will have answers they don't even have questions for. If this video made sense to you, smash that like button right now. Comment the word learn below and I'll send you my personal list of the top 5 books that Brian Tracy recommends to jumpstart your wealth. Subscribe and turn on the bell because tomorrow I'm revealing the hidden rule that
3, 2, 1.
Have you ever felt like you are spinning your wheels? You are busy, you are tired, you are doing everything right, but your bank account is stagnant. You feel like the world is against you. I was there. I remember sitting in my beat-up car, hitting the steering wheel, screaming, "Why is this happening to me? Why can't I catch a break?" I was waiting for a break. I was waiting for someone to save me. I was waiting for the government, for a mentor, for a miracle. I was exactly where Brian Tracy was in his early 20s. He wasn't born rich. He didn't go to Ivy League schools. He was a laborer. He washed dishes in the back of a hotel. He dug wells. He stacked lumber. He was stuck in the grind. Then he discovered a psychological switch, a hidden rule, that changed his trajectory instantly. It wasn't a business tactic. It wasn't a stock tip. It was a mindset shift. It's called the law of responsibility. And honestly, it's going to piss some of you off. It might hurt your feelings. It might make you want to click away. But if you stay, it might just save your life. Brian was sitting in a small apartment, freezing cold because he couldn't afford heat, surrounded by unpaid bills. He was 21 years old. He looked around his tiny room and realized a terrifying truth. No one is coming to save me. No one is coming. The government isn't coming to pay your rent. Your parents aren't coming to fix your career. The lottery isn't coming. That is the moment his life changed. We love to blame. It is the human default setting. We blame the economy. We blame the president. We blame our boss. We blame our upbringing. We blame our ex-partners. Brian says, accept complete responsibility for everything you are and everything you will ever be. The moment you blame someone else, you give them your power. You become a victim. And victims don't get rich. Victims get sympathy, but they don't get success. If you think your boss is the reason you are underpaid, you are a prisoner of your boss. You are waiting for him to change. But if you realize you are underpaid because you haven't improved your skills or demanded more value, you are free to change. You take the power back. Brian teaches that negative emotions, anger, envy, resentment, jealousy, are the biggest blocks to success. They are like driving with the parking brake on. You can press the gas all you want, but you aren't going anywhere. You're just burning out your engine. And what fuels negative emotions? Blame. You cannot be angry at someone unless you blame them for something. When you stop blaming, you stop being angry. It is physically impossible to accept responsibility and be angry at the same time. Responsibility acts like a tranquilizer for negativity. I remember blaming my lack of connections for my business failing. I don't know the right people, I said. It's a club and I'm not in it. Once I accepted it was my lack of networking skills, the anger vanished. I could fix a lack of skills. I couldn't fix a cruel universe. You cannot fix what you do not own. Own your mess. Own your failures. Because if you own them, you can change them. Brian suggests a simple, practical exercise. Whenever you feel angry, frustrated, or like a victim, catch yourself. Stop the thought immediately and say out loud, I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible. It sounds weird. It sounds simplistic. But it acts like a circuit breaker for negativity. It snaps you back to reality. Your car broke down. I am responsible. I should have maintained it better, or earned more to buy a better one. Lost the client. I am responsible. I should have prepared better, or followed up faster. Did you gain weight? I am responsible. This puts you back in the driver's seat. It moves you from why me to what next. It moves you from a passive child to an active adult. It is hard. It hurts the ego. But it heals the bank account. Complaining is like vomiting on yourself. It doesn't solve the problem and it makes people not want to be around you. That is a harsh Brian Tracy truth, but it is necessary. Successful people don't complain. They solve problems. Have you ever met a rich, happy victim? No. They don't exist. If you are complaining about your salary, you have 3 choices: accept it, change it, or leave. Complaining is not a strategy. Complaining keeps you stuck in the problem instead of moving toward the solution. When I stopped complaining about my bad leads and started generating my own, my income tripled. The energy I was using to complain was channeled into creating solutions. I turned my whining into working. Responsible people are future-oriented. Victims are past-oriented. Victims spend hours replaying old hurts, old failures, old arguments. They are walking backwards into the future, staring at the past. They trip over everything because they aren't looking where they are going. Brian says you can't change the past. It is gone. It is a sunk cost. But you can ruin the future by worrying about the past. Take responsibility for your future. Where do you want to be in 5 years? If you don't like where you are, move. You are not a tree. You are the architect of your own destiny. This shift from looking back in anger to looking forward in hope is the energy you need to build wealth. Let's recap. The hidden rule is radical responsibility. 1. No one is coming to save you. You are the hero of your own movie. Save yourself. 2. Blame is giving away your power. Stop doing it. Keep your power. 3. Use the mantra, I am responsible. Say it until you believe it. 4. Stop complaining immediately. It repels success and attracts losers. 5. Focus on the future, not the past. Build what comes next. This is heavy stuff. It is easier to play the victim. It feels good to say it's not your fault. It comforts the ego to say the system is rigged. But do you want to be right, or do you want to be rich? Do you want sympathy, or do you want success? Brian Tracy chose to be rich. I chose to be rich. Now you have to choose. If this video made sense to you, smash that like button right now. Comment the word responsible below. By typing it, you are signing a contract with yourself. I'll send you a free PDF on how to reprogram your mind for success. Subscribe and turn on the bell because tomorrow we are breaking down the legendary Eat That Frog method in just 9 minutes.
3, 2, 1.
Why do you feel like you are running on a hamster wheel, sweating, exhausted, but getting absolutely nowhere? You have a to-do list that is a mile long, and the guilt of what you haven't done is heavier than the work itself. What if I told you the problem isn't the work, but the order in which you do it? Listen to me closely. Most people live their entire lives busy, but broke. Busy, but unfulfilled. I used to be exactly like that. I was drowning in tasks, putting out fires, and never building the fire station. Then I stumbled upon a concept from the legendary Brian Tracy that didn't just save my career, it saved my sanity. It's called eating the frog. By the end of this video, You are going to learn exactly how to stop procrastinating and get more done in the next 30 days than you did in the last 12 months. This isn't just time management. This is life management. Let's dive in. Let's start with the ugly truth. Mark Twain once said that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long. Your frog is your biggest, most important task. It's the one you are most likely to procrastinate on if you don't do something about it. It is also the one task that can have the greatest positive impact on your life and your results at the moment. Here is the reality. You are never going to get caught up. You will never get on top of your tasks. The books, the magazines, the emails, the projects, they will never end. The only way to get control of your life is to stop doing some things and start spending more time on the few activities that can really make a difference. Brian Tracy says the key to success is action. But not just any action. Targeted action. I remember when I was starting out. My desk was a disaster zone. I had sticky notes everywhere. I was answering emails at 7 a.m. and still answering them at 11 p.m. I felt productive because I was moving fast, but I wasn't going anywhere. I was avoiding the frog, the sales calls I needed to make, the strategic planning I needed to do. I was doing the easy, tap-able tasks because they felt safe. And my bank account reflected that safety. It was stagnant. Rule number 1 involves clarity. Clarity is the most important concept in personal productivity. The number one reason why some people get more work done faster is because they are absolutely clear about their goals and objectives. You need to write it down. Brian often says, think on paper. Only about 3% of adults have clear, written goals. These people accomplish 5 and 10 times as much as people of equal or better education and ability but who, for whatever reason, have never taken the time to write out exactly what they want. Have you written down your goals for this year? If I walked into your room right now and asked to see your list, could you show me? Or is it all just floating in your head, mixed up with your grocery list and your anxiety? Rule number 2 is plan every day in advance. This is the 6P formula. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. When I started planning my day the night before, my life changed overnight. Literally. I would sit down at 9 p.m., look at my messy list, and organize it. When I woke up the next morning, I didn't have to think. I didn't have to waste energy deciding what to do. I just executed. Brian Tracy teaches that every minute spent in planning saves you as many as 10 minutes in execution. It takes only about 10 to 12 minutes for you to plan out your day, but this small investment of time will save you at least 2 hours in wasted time and diffused effort throughout the day. Imagine having an extra 2 hours every single day. What would you do with that time? Rule number 3 is apply the 80-20 rule to everything. The Pareto principle. We've all heard it, but do you live by it? 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. This means if you have a list of 10 items to do, 2 of those items will turn out to be worth as much or more than the other 8 items put together. But here is the tragic part. Most people procrastinate on the top 10 or 20% of items that are the most valuable and important, the vital few, and busy themselves instead with the least important 80%, the trivial many, which contribute very little to results. I see this all the time. People spending hours designing a logo for a business that hasn't made a single sale. People spending days organizing their email folders instead of making the phone calls that bring in revenue. That is creative avoidance. You are hiding from success. You are hiding from the frog. Rule number 4 is consider the consequences. The mark of the superior thinker is his or her ability to accurately predict the consequences of doing or not doing something. The potential consequences of any task or activity are the key determinants of how important it is to you and to your company. If you don't do this task today, what happens in a month? If the answer is nothing much, then that task is a tadpole. Throw it back. But if the answer is I lose the client or I don't get the promotion, that is a giant, ugly bullfrog. And you need to eat it. Immediately. Successful people have a future orientation. They think 5, 10, 20 years out into the future. They analyze their choices and behaviors in the present to make sure that they are consistent with the long-term future that they desire. Rule number 5 is the ABCDE method. This is the ultimate prioritization technique. I use this every single day. You take your list and you place a letter next to each item. A items are must-dos. These are the frogs. If you have more than one A task, you label them A1, A2, A3. And A1 is the biggest, ugliest frog of them all. B items are should-dos. These are the tadpoles. Consequences are mild. C items are nice to do. No consequences. Checking social media. Chatting with a coworker. D items are delegate. Get someone else to do it so you can focus on the A tasks. E items are eliminate. Just stop doing them. The rule is simple. Never do a B task when there is an A task left undone. Never do a C task when there is a B task left undone. It takes discipline. It takes grit. But this is how you separate the dreamers from the achievers. Rule number 6 is focus on key result areas. Why are you on the payroll? Seriously, ask yourself that. What were you hired to do? Or if you run a business, what activity actually brings in the money? Brian Tracy identifies that every job can be broken down into about 5 to 7 key result areas. These are the results that you absolutely, positively have to get to do your job and make your contribution. For a salesperson, it's prospecting and closing. It's not organizing the desk. For a writer, it's writing. It's not researching endlessly. When I realized my key result area was creating content, I stopped spending 4 hours a day answering comments. I hired someone else to do that. I focused on the creation. And the channel exploded. You need to identify your weakest key result area, because your weakest skill sets the height at which you can use all your other skills. Rule number 7 is take it one oil barrel at a time. There is an old saying, by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Sometimes the frog looks too big. It looks impossible. You stare at the project and you freeze. This is why you procrastinate. You need to slice and dice the task. Brian tells the story of crossing the Sahara Desert. You can't see the end. But you can see the next oil barrel marker. You just need to get to the next barrel. Don't think about writing the whole book. Think about writing 1 page. Don't think about losing 50 pounds. Think about going to the gym today. 1 barrel at a time. Rule number 8 is put the pressure on yourself. Only about 2% of people can work entirely without supervision. We call these people leaders. The world is full of people waiting for someone to come along and motivate them to be the kind of people they wish they could be. The problem is that no one is coming to the rescue. No one is coming. You have to be your own taskmaster. Set deadlines for yourself that are tighter than the actual deadlines. Create a false sense of urgency. When you treat every day like it's the day before you leave for a month-long vacation, you will be amazed at how efficient you become. Rule number 9 is single-handle every task. This is the big one. Once you start a task, keep working on it until it is 100% complete. Single-handling requires that once you begin, you keep at it, without diversion or distraction, until the job is 100% finished. Every time you stop and start a task, you break your momentum. You have to warm up again. You lose time. You lose focus. It has been estimated that the tendency to start and stop a task can increase the time necessary to complete it by as much as 500%. 500%. You are wasting your life switching tabs. You are wasting your potential checking your phone every 14 minutes. Close the door. Turn off the notifications. Put the phone in another room. And eat that frog until it is gone. Let's recap quickly because I want you to go and actually do this. Here is your battle plan. 1. Decide exactly what you want. Clarity is power. 2. Plan every day in advance. Think on paper. 3. Apply the 80-20 rule. Focus on the vital few, ignore the trivial many. 4. Use the ABCDE method daily. Never do a B task when an A task is waiting. 5. Slice the task. Take it one step at a time if the frog is too big. 6. Single-handle the task. Don't stop until it's done. Listen, knowledge without execution is just entertainment. You can watch 100 videos like this, but if you close this tab and go back to scrolling social media or doing busy work that doesn't matter, nothing will change. Your life will be exactly the same next year as it is today. And that should scare you. The frog is there. It's staring at you. It's ugly. It's intimidating. But eating it is the only path to the life you say you want. If this video gave you the push you needed, smash the like button right now. It tells the algorithm that we are building an army of high achievers here. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Tomorrow I'm going to show you the psychological trick to double your income in 6 months. You don't want to miss that. Go eat that frog.